I met her the night the campus sirens cut through the September heat, and someone shoved a keycard into my hoodie pocket and whispered, "If you care about her, don't swipe it." By the time I spun around, all I caught was a flash of a navy baseball cap disappearing into the crowd, spilling out of Lincoln Hall, and Maya standing under the lamppost like a dare I wasn't strong enough to ignore. Lincoln's brick facade glowed the color of a late-night pizza box. The quad smelled like wet grass and cheap cologne. It was welcome back week. Club tables, half-charged Bluetooth speakers, and first years who still wore their lanyards outside their shirts like they were passport holders on a middle school field trip. I was supposed to be covering it for the campus paper. Journalism major, sophomore, always that guy with the camera. And there she was, Maya Rise, the girl who made my brain feel like it was buffering. We weren't strangers. Freshman stats together, accidental study buddies who turned into almost something, and then somehow rerouted to polite nods. The rumor mill said she'd gotten tight with the Honors Council, that invite-only leadership thing that dressed like a business casual cult. She wore a black hoodie, sleeves shoved to the elbows. Her ponytail was practical, not performative. She looked like a checklist I couldn't finish. "You look like you just saw a ghost," I said, because opening lines are my kryptonite and sarcasm is a crutch. "Maybe I did," she said, eyes on my pocket like she could see through fabric. "Don't lose that." I had options. Pretend I didn't understand, crack another joke, or actually look. I chose C. The keycard was matte grey with a tiny silver lantern icon stamped in the corner. No name. No photo. Just that symbol. I'd seen it once before, etched in the corner of a flyer that vanished an hour after it appeared. A rumor about the lantern. Some underground tradition / secret society / closet full of urban legends that upperclassmen used to haze us with during orientation. The kind of thing you laugh off until it doesn't feel funny. "What is it?" I asked. "Trouble," Maya said. "And a choice." "Whose?" "Ours." The sirens died. Someone on the lawn tried to start a clap-along and failed so hard the silence turned into static. Maya stepped closer. Her voice dropped. "Listen, if anybody asks, you didn't see me. You didn't talk to me. You definitely didn't get handed anything." "That's reassuring," I said. "You want to add, and you're not wearing a wire while we're at it." A smile flashed, quick, corner of her mouth, the kind that felt like it was just for me. "No wire, but Jake, don't swipe it, not tonight." She was gone before I could promise or push back, swallowed by a pack of ROTC guys running drills like it was a TikTok trend. I stared at the keycard until the lantern logo looked like it was glowing. Choice. My editor Priya texted, "You alive? I need 500 words by midnight." The story was supposed to be tailgates and thrifted denim. Except now, my pockets held something that tasted like risk. I didn't swipe it. Not that night. I walked back to North Campus with my hands buried in my hoodie and every motion sensor light making my skin jump. On the second floor of Kelso Hall, the RA was yelling at someone about burning popcorn. I cut down the back stairs, stepped into my room, and locked the door with two hands like a cartoon burglar. Then I did the dumbest thing in the dumb history of me. I slid the keycard under my mattress. I didn't sleep. I drafted a fluff piece, deleted it, and wrote something about how Welcome Back Week is basically a university-sponsored fever dream. I waited for my roommate, Tomas, to roll in from intramurals and tell me I was spiraling. He didn't. At 2:11 a.m., a different text hit. Unknown. Tomorrow. Chemistry building. 9:47 a.m., floor 3. Room with the broken exit sign. Alone. New number who dis? The dots bubbled, stopped, started again. Unknown. The kind who knows your paper will pay double for lantern proof. I don't have anything. Unknown, you will. I stared until the screen dimmed. It felt like the universe had handed me a conspiracy theory starter kit and whispered, "Don't be boring." I should have looped in Priya or Campus PD or literally anyone with a badge. Instead, I set an alarm for 9:15 and told myself I just wanted answers before I torched my GPA and reputation for a rumor. In the morning, the campus looked hungover. The coffee line at Bender Hall snaked out the door. I grabbed a drip and hustled past flyers for a cappella auditions and students for real food. Chemistry building was all windows and concrete and echoes. On floor 3, a half-dead exit sign buzzed like a trapped fly. The door under it was propped open by a worn-out econ textbook. Inside, lab benches, a 3D printer humming, and a girl in a denim jacket with her back to me, black hair falling over her notebook like a curtain. "Maya?" I asked. She turned and my heartbeat tripped. "You came." "You texted," I said, not super subtle. That wasn't me. She nodded toward the lab bench. There, sitting like it was nothing, was a second grey keycard. Same silver lantern. The hairs on my arms stood up. "Let me guess," I said. "Also trouble?" "Also a choice," she said. And then, "Jake, I need your help." I should have played it cool, kept my voice dry and my eyes uncaring. Instead, I was already stepping closer. "Okay," she exhaled. It sounded like relief and fear arguing. "There's a group." "The Lantern," I said. She flinched, then nodded. "They're not a group so much as a network. People, money, data. They think they own what happens here. They move scholarships, nudge grades, tilt opportunities, and they need stories to quiet other stories." I blinked. "Like PR or blackmail?" "All of it," she said. "They approached me last spring. We were barely talking by then." "Barely talking?" I asked, stupidly audacious for a guy who'd ghosted our last study session to cover a basketball riot that never happened. She rolled her eyes, but it softened the edges of her mouth. "You were busy being the paper guy, and I was busy pretending a 4.0 would make me bulletproof." She tapped the keycard. "They want me in, like fully in. They handed me this last night and said to swipe at midnight. Initiation, access, whatever. But it's not an invite, it's leverage." "Why you?" "Because my mom works 3 jobs and I'm scholarship stacked," she said bluntly. "Because my little brother thinks I'm a superhero. Because I know how to make code talk and people listen." She leaned in, voice low. "Because there's something on me they can use." I felt something warm and defensive rise in my throat. "What could they possibly have on you? You do homework for sport. You'd card yourself to buy cough drops." Her laugh cracked open the air. "I'm not a saint, Jake. None of us are." The 3D printer chirped like a microwave, spitting out a plastic gear. I watched it do its slow robot dance until I could trust my mouth. "What do you want from me?" "An unpublishable story," she said. "For now, I need you to help me get proof of what they've been doing. Names, transactions, the whole ugly tree. And then when it's safe, you can burn the place down with your headline. But until then, you can't write a word." "You want me to not write?" I said, like it physically pained me. "I want you to pick me instead of your byline," she said, eyes steady. "Just this once." It would have been smart to say no. To point out I'm not Bob Woodward. I'm a sophomore with a Canon and a half-charged laptop. Instead, I said, "Okay." We set rules. No meeting in obvious places. No texting specifics. No trusting anyone who claimed to be helping. She wrote a time on the corner of my coffee cup. 11:53. Their favorite minute, she said. Just shy of midnight, close to something, not quite. "Creepy," I said. "On brand," she agreed. The first clue wasn't a riddle. It was a spreadsheet. In the basement of the library, she showed me a donor portal, so slick it looked like an app for booking courtside seats. Names that didn't want to be names, LLCs stacked like nesting dolls, and restricted gifts that conveniently changed the week a certain athlete cleared a class they'd never attended. "Look," she said, pointing at a transaction tagged Lantern Maint. "Maintenance, my ass. That's not fixing a roof. That's paying for silence." I asked how she knew where to look. She didn't answer. She just pushed her hair up with one hand and scrolled with the other, wrists lined with thin beaded bracelets that clicked when she moved. I wanted to know everything and also nothing, because the more I knew, the more I owned it, and ownership comes with fallout. At 11:53 p.m, we followed our first minute. The keycard opened a door in the old bell tower nobody used anymore, because time was digital now. Inside was dust and history and a little square of light leaking from a room that should have been storage but wasn't. The walls were pinned with campus maps, dates circled in red Sharpie, homecoming, finals, move-in, big game. "They time their moves when eyes are somewhere else," Maya whispered. A corkboard listed professors like a playoff bracket. Some had stars next to them. I didn't ask. "You think this is theirs?" I asked. "This is one of theirs," she corrected. "They like redundancy." A noise scraped the hallway. We froze. The light under the door hiccuped. Footsteps climbed. Maya grabbed my sleeve and pulled me behind a stack of old hymnals that smelled like rain. We barely fit. Her breath warmed my neck. My chest tried to make a jailbreak. "Hey!" she whispered, so close the word tickled. It's okay. Not disagreeing, I whispered back, just scientifically terrified. The footsteps stopped outside. A key turned. The door opened, light slicing the dark. I could see only shoes, scuffed Chelsea boots, black. Whoever it was moved with boredom, like they were collecting dry cleaning. Papers shuffled. A sigh. A drawer opened. Closed. And then a phone buzzed, loud in the quiet. The voice that answered was male, mid-20s, with that horrible confidence people get when they know their dad's a donor. "Yeah," he said. Pause. "Tonight, 11:53. She'll swipe or she'll be gone by morning." A chuckle. "No, not the scholarship, the internship. She likes shiny things." Another laugh. "Relax, the journalist kid, he's already in our pocket." My hand tightened. Maya's fingers found mine in the dark, threaded them like it was habit. "Not funny," I mouthed. She squeezed once, a signal more than comfort. "I know. I'm here." The guy hung up, the door clicked, footsteps down, silence like a dare. We didn't move for a full minute. Then we exhaled at the same time, and it felt like a secret handshake I wanted to do forever. "Internship?" I asked. She shrugged, but her eyes went distant. "They dangle whatever works." "What do they have on you?" I asked, voice softer than the dust. She looked past me, past the room, like she was editing her life in real time. "Last spring," she said slowly, "I got into this thing. Not just grades, code. I found a back door I wasn't supposed to see. A donor's kid was failing a class, he needed to stay on the team. Emails were sent, pressures applied, money moved. I took screenshots. Dumb, brave, both. I thought I could leverage it into funding for a mentorship program we wanted for first-gen students. I thought I was Robin Hood. And I got caught," she said. "Not by campus PD, not by the professor, by them. They were impressed. They called it initiative. They offered to channel it. And then they reminded me they could tank my financial aid with one conversation about academic integrity." She swallowed. "So I said I'd think about it." "That's why you told me not to swipe," I said. "That's why I told you to run," she countered. "But you didn't. So now we run together." It became our schedule. Days were normal. Class, coffee, a joke about professors who think group project means free grading. Nights were keys and minutes and rooms that existed and didn't, study lounges that hummed with coded whispers, a locked faculty corridor that smelled like citrus cleaner and old lies, a campus police storage closet where body cam footage lived like a dragon hoard of receipts. We flirted without meaning to, or maybe we meant to and lied to ourselves about it. She'd nudge my shoulder with her knuckles when I got too intense. I'd steal her scrunchie and she'd pretend it was a crime. She started calling me newsboy when she wanted to see me smirk. I started calling her Robin when I wanted to see her forget to be tough. Progress came as crumbs. A Venmo profile that didn't exist unless you asked it wrong. A laundry service that wasn't. A dean's anonymous donation to a lab that happened to share a name with his golf buddy's foundation. A note slipped under my door that said, "Check the stadium lights, Row J," and nothing else. Row J held a duffel bag with 3 more keycards and a thumb drive labeled home. We took the drive to the basement of the student union and jacked into a forgotten desktop that ran Windows like it hated itself. The folder called Home was password protected in a way that meant someone smart made it, someone like Maya. She cracked it with a string of phrases pulled from the campus fight song and the last names of dead trustees, and I barely blinked because her brain just did that. Inside were documents too careful to be fake, meeting minutes with no names but yes outcomes. Maintenance reports that equaled bribes. A community partnership initiative that reallocated funds from a food pantry to a pet tech project run by a donor's son. "You sure you're ready to blow this open?" I asked, because the part of me that liked clean arcs wanted to publish and sleep. The part of me that liked her new timing would decide if we lived to read the comments. "They won't let us post and live here," she said, blunt and true. "They'll smear, they'll litigate, they'll make it look like we hate the school, not the corruption. We need a kill switch." "What's a kill switch?" "Insurance," she said. "We drop it in a way that isn't just scandal but story. Names, not just systems. Somebody they can't ignore. Someone who jumped, not got pushed." "Maya," I said, voice quietly begging, "please tell me you're not that someone." She didn't answer. "There's a thing that happens when you realize you've crossed a line you can't uncross. Food tastes like cardboard. Sleep becomes a rumor. Every song on your playlist sounds like foreshadowing. By the time the homecoming game rolled around, I'd stopped attending half my lectures. Priya thought I was ghosting the paper to write for a rival. Thomas thought I was in a situationship. He wasn't wrong. We made a plan. It felt smart and doomed at the same time. At 11:53 p.m., after the game, the lantern would gather in the bell tower room for a service that sounded like graduation if graduation wore masks. Maya would swipe in with her card, plant a packet of doctored documents that pointed in a direction we wanted them to look, an old donor, a tidy scapegoat, and while they chased that smoke, we'd flip the blowers on the actual fire. The drive, the maps, the timelines, all synchronized to hit the student paper, the local station, and 3 alumni with big mouths and bigger Twitter followings who hated the current administration more than they loved the baseball team. It would have worked if people were machines. People are not machines. 2 hours before kickoff, I got a text. Change of plan. Meet now. Bell tower. I ran. That's the thing about being 20, you think sprinting is a personality trait. The tower air was cool and smelled like old wood. Maya stood in the doorway of the map room, hoodie up, grip white on the keycard. They moved it up, she said. They know something, maybe about us. Who told you? She shifted like she had more energy than places to put it. A friend. Name? You don't know him, she said, and the him put a taste in my mouth like pennies. He's in it, but not by choice. I didn't trust that. I trusted her, which is different and worse. We set the decoys. We checked the cameras. Cheap GoPros hidden in vents and behind a cracked clock we'd fished from a thrift store. Maya lined the keycards like dominoes and smiled without happy in it. You ever think about how we got here? She asked, eyes on the lantern logo. Like, who decided we were responsible for the mess adults made? Yeah, I said. But then I remember adults are just taller kids with credit cards. She laughed, and I was stupidly proud of that. At 11:40, footsteps, voices. Maya squeezed my hand, let go, squeezed again. This is it, she whispered. Once I swipe, there's no undo. Then don't, I said. The words surprised both of us. We'll find another way. She looked up at me, eyes wide enough to make promises dangerous. It has to be me, she said. If I don't walk in on my feet, they'll drag me in by the throat. Dramatic, I said, to keep from saying don't go. True, she said. Then, kiss me. It was a request and a dare. I took it. Her mouth was soft and fierce. It didn't feel like goodbye. It felt like starting a car on a hill and trusting it would catch. We broke when the hallway light buzzed. She smiled like we'd both jumped and somehow landed on our feet. Newsboy, she whispered. Don't be a hero. Be smart. You know that's not my brand, I said, and she rolled her eyes, kissed my cheek, and pushed the door open. The room filled with bodies in navy and black. No masks, just faces that looked ordinary in a way that made my stomach roll. I recognized a TA who graded too hard, a community liaison who smiled too much, an athlete I'd photographed scoring a buzzer beater. The man with Chelsea boots stood near the corkboard, his phone a natural extension of his hand. He was taller in person. Meaner, too, like his eyebrows had declared bankruptcy. Miss Reyes, he said, smooth. Nice of you to join us. Maya didn't flinch. She swiped. The lock hummed and the system chirped, and in that chirp lived a line crossing. She stepped inside. The door swung shut. I waited 7 seconds. Then I picked it. Campus PD training videos will tell you that lockpicking is illegal and complicated. What the videos don't tell you is that desperation is a universal skeleton key. The GoPro feed on my phone showed the room as a clean rectangle of people smiling like knives. Chelsea Boots lifted his hands like a pastor. Welcome, he said. This is a family. Maya said nothing. She looked like someone who'd taught herself to look unafraid by practicing in the mirror. He launched into the kind of speech people use when they need you to agree. Tradition, stewardship, community. The words folded over each other like laundry hiding stains. My breath fogged the inside of my hoodie. I stepped into the hallway where the mic we'd planted in the cracked clock could catch voices clean. And as with all families, Boots said, trust is currency. Everyone contributes. Everyone benefits. Everyone sacrifices. He paused, pious. Tonight, you'll upload a small packet for us. Consider it your first tithe. He held up a USB drive identical to ours. My stomach flipped. Maya took it like it was room temperature. What is it? She asked. An application, he said. A message, a nudge, a smile, a correction, if we're being low-key honest. On who? She asked, and I dipped closer to the door like proximity would give me more control. On someone you know, he said gently. On someone who thinks he can expose us with a student newspaper and an ego. My name wasn't spoken. I heard it anyway. He nodded toward the far wall where a projector screen blinked awake. My face filled it. Me at a protest last spring, megaphone to my mouth, laugh lines deep, a kid on a crusade. He believes he's immune, Boots said. We think he's instructive. Don't, Maya said, and for the first time her voice cracked. Just a hairline, but I knew it. He hasn't published anything, Boots skied. Intent matters, Miss Reyes. The world runs on intent. She breathed, slow. And if I don't? The room chilled. Boots' smile didn't move. Then that scholarship you cherish goes on pause. Your mother's third job goes to fourth. Your brother's school funds become harder to allocate. Actions have ripples. I didn't think. I opened the door. Hey, I said, too loud. Pick on someone your own cliché. Heads whipped. Maya's eyes did a thing that hurt and healed me at once. Boots's face hinged to bored contempt. And there he is, he said. Mr. Ellis, welcome. I didn't step inside. I couldn't. Boundaries matter in rooms like this. I held up my phone instead, live stream blinking red. Say hi to 1,000 people, I said, and 3 alumni donors who hate you. Boots laughed. So did the TA. They looked too calm. You think we didn't anticipate that? Boots asked. He gestured, and the athlete stepped to the projector, typed a command, and our stream glitched to static. He turned the screen to a feed of the campus stadium. Fireworks warming up for the post-game show, families leaving, kids on their parents' shoulders. Your battery's dying, Boots said, and my phone, on 73%, blinked to 7, then 2, then black. Cold washed my spine. We learned a long time ago. The story isn't what happened, it's what survives. Maya moved, not toward me, toward the corkboard. She grabbed a map, yanked it down, scattering pushpins like hail. You talk about family, she said flatly, but you mean leverage. You talk about corrections, but you mean punishment. You talk about tradition, but you mean control. She turned, face hard and shining. So here's my correction. She pulled a second phone from her sleeve, one I didn't know she had, and tapped. Somewhere in the building a relay clicked. The lights stuttered, then stabilized. My phone vibrated awake with a single bar of battery and a notification from Priya. Is this you? Holy, call me. I looked at Maya. She looked at me. Kill switch, she mouthed. Everything happened at once. The projector cut to a slideshow of the home drive. Payments, memos, dates. The lantern logo stamped in the corner like it was daring us to sue. The hallway speakers, which normally piped in classical music during finals, blared a monotone voice that read each line item like a grocery list of sins. In the stadium, the fireworks booted into a synchronized countdown and then spelled LANTERN in the sky like a cosmic subtweet. My phone regained juice like the laws of physics were negotiable. Boots lost his composure. It was small, a nostril flare, a muscle jumping in his jaw, but it was there. Who else is in this? He snapped. Nobody, Maya said. Just 2 broke kids with a Wi-Fi plan and better ethics than you. I should have been sweating. I was grinning like an idiot. Also, I said, pointing at the clock camera, you might want to smile. You're trending. Boots moved, fast and wrong. He reached for Maya's wrist. She slid out of his grip like she'd practiced. The athlete stepped forward, but the TA grabbed his elbow, whispering, not on camera, and for the first time I saw it. Cracks. Sirens. Real ones this time, not welcome weak theatre. Campus PD must have caught the fireworks PA mashup and decided the school was either under attack or trying to get on the news. Boots flicked his fingers. The group splintered, some toward the stairwell, some toward a door I hadn't noticed. Maya darted for me. I reached. Our fingers caught, missed, caught again. Then we were running, the way you run when your feet think faster than your head. We didn't go down. We went up, clattering toward the bell, like it could bless us. The hatch was rust and stubborn. I shoved it with both hands, and the kind of prayer atheists pretend they don't say. It gave. Cool air slapped our faces. The city stretched below us in neon scribbles. I wanted to freeze that view and live in it longer. We didn't have time. You okay? I asked, voice shaking like a shopping cart. Adrenaline's a hell of a drug, she said, breathless. Then she laughed. It sounded like someone breaking into happiness. You kissed me in a conspiracy, she said. You told me to, I shot back, smiling despite everything. Semantics, she said, and kissed me again, quick and clean like a signature. We have to move. We scampered along the catwalk, the bell a giant lung above us. Below, PD flooded the tower. Boots's voice floated up, clipped and trying to sound friendly. Miss Rise! Mr. Ellis! You're making a mistake! You're a mistake, I muttered, because the part of me that's 8 years old never left. Maya tugged my sleeve. Look. Across the quad, the student union's giant screen had cut from game highlights to our slideshow. People gathered like moths. Phones rose. The room behind us hummed with the sound of a machine that didn't know it had been woken up. For once, momentum was ours. We crawled through another hatch and dropped into a narrow corridor that funneled into the music building's back stairwell. We walked fast without looking like we were running. That's a skill they don't teach in Gen Eds. Outside, the air smelled like rain and victory. We cut past Greek Row, where a frat party had turned into everyone's uncle, yelling about tradition, and ducked through the theatre's side door, where a costume rack hid us like a friendly jungle. We finally stopped in the prop room, between a fake cannon and a stack of rubber swords. My heart was a drumline. Maya leaned on a crate and closed her eyes. We did it, I said, mostly to convince myself. We did something, she corrected, and I loved her for it. They'll spin, they'll call it fake, they'll blame rogue actors and context, but we complicated the story. That matters. I wanted to tell her she mattered more, that the way she said we made my whole body recalibrate. Instead, I said, "What's your secret, Maya?" She opened one eye. That's a weird follow-up. You said they had something on you, I said, gentle. I know some of it, not the worst part. She wiped a hand across her forehead, leaving a stripe of dust. You're relentless. It's my worst trait, I said, and my job. She nodded, thought, sighed. Okay, she said. My mom worked admin nights in high school. I used to sit under her desk with my Chromebook doing calculus while the floor wax smell gave me a headache. One night I found a folder on a shared drive. Misfiled. It wasn't even password protected. It was a list of students who'd lost aid mid-semester. Reasons like unsatisfactory academic progress that were technically true but functionally cruel. Attached were emails from donors suggesting different recipients. I wrote a script that flagged changes. I sent it to a grad student I trusted. He was cute, older, smart. He said he'd help bring it to the ethics board. She swallowed. He brought it to them, all right, as proof I'd broken policy. And he's the friend who warned you tonight, I said, realization landing like a bruise. She let out a small, tired laugh. I never said I make good choices about men. Hey, I said, present company. Excluded for now, she said, and her smile warmed the air. My secret isn't the code. It's that I still want to believe the institution can love me back. That if I'm perfect enough, it won't spit me out. She lifted a shoulder. That's how they get you. It felt like something tender had been handed to me, so I held it like it could break. My secret, I said, is that the reason I chase stories is because one time I didn't and someone I loved got hurt. Senior year, my best friend called me from a protest. I told him I'd be there. I didn't go. Someone swung. He got 8 stitches and a scar he jokes about when he's drunk. I decided after that, no more almost. If I could show up, I would. I overcorrect. It's not healthy. She touched my wrist. Quick. It's honest. We sat there, honesty sitting with us like a third person who didn't judge. Outside, the campus moved through the stages of public outrage, shock, denial, group chat, Instagram story activism. My phone buzzed every 30 seconds. Priya, Tomas, my mother, 3 numbers I didn't recognize, one that made my chest tighten. Unknown, you won't win like this. You made it louder, not truer. Me, you sure about that, Professor? Unknown, don't be glib. Me, don't be a coward. The dots bubbled, vanished. Maya raised an eyebrow. He texted? Yeah, I said. He knows I know. She nodded like that was always how it would go. We should go to Priya, she said, before they try to make this a he said, she said with fancy letterhead. We moved. The world outside had changed hue. People weren't just watching, they were choosing sides. That's how change starts. Messy and loud with too many typos. Priya met us on the steps of the paper with a look I'd only seen when the team made the tournament. You two are either geniuses or insane, she said. Maybe both. We'll take both, I said. She hugged us fast and hard, then pulled back and slapped me on the shoulder. Never do that to me again without bringing a charger. Inside, we made a war room. Coffee, whiteboard, evidence. Maya ran point like she'd been born to triage. Priya assigned tasks with a speed that made my anxiety feel seen. I called the alumni. They called their lawyers. The campus president released a statement that said exactly nothing beautifully. Students chanted outside the admin building in sweatshirts that cost too much to feel like revolution. It wouldn't end tonight. It never does. Around 3 a.m., when adrenaline finally remembered it has limits, Maya slid into the chair next to me and rested her head on my shoulder. I didn't breathe for a second, then did, because you can't pass out on a girl you're trying to impress. "You know," she murmured, voice gone cotton soft, "we're either going to hate each other when this is over or..." "Or?" I asked. She lifted her head enough to look at me. "Or we'll be annoying." "Like couple cute or couple insufferable?" I asked, playing it light to protect the part of me that wanted to fast forward to us arguing about curtains. "Both," she said, and that felt like a promise. We didn't sleep. Dawn made the windows look like promises we hadn't cashed. The first headline hit the local news at 6:12 a.m., alumni comments at 6:20, the university at 7:03. My phone lit with a text from my mom that said, "Proud of you," even if I don't understand it, which felt like the most honest thing a parent could say. Classes were not cancelled, because of course they weren't. Students wore t-shirts with hand-drawn lanterns slashed through with Sharpie. Someone chalked "The story is what survives" across the main quad and underlined it twice. Boots resigned to spend more time with family, which is rich considering he'd weaponized the word 12 hours before. The TA posted a Notes app apology like we were supposed to grade it. The athlete cried on camera. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt right, like a bone you didn't realize was out of place had slid home. At noon, we stood under the bell tower again, the sunlight making it look less haunted and more historical. Maya leaned against the stone and watched people take pictures of the chalk art like they were tourists in our lives. "You good?" I asked. "I'm here," she said. "I lost an internship this morning." "How bad?" "Bad enough to sting, not bad enough to kill," she said. "They'll blacklist me quietly for a while, but you know what? I've got time." "You've got me," I said, and it came out without effort, which is how you know it's true. She cut me a side glance, smile tucked into one cheek. "Careful, newsboy. That sounds like a line." "It's a lifestyle," I said, and she laughed, that surprised laugh that made strangers turn and wish they knew the joke. We walked. She stole my beanie and wore it even though it was too warm. I bought her a coffee with more sugar than bean. She told me a story about her brother making her watch every Marvel movie in release order, and I told her about my grandma's rule that you never leave a table without leaving something someone can remember you by. She bumped my shoulder. I bumped back. We didn't define anything. We didn't need to. Definition would come in finals and fights about nothing, and nights we'd pretend to study and actually just share air. For now, we had aftermath, which is its own kind of beginning. That night at 11:53, my phone buzzed. Not a ghost number. A contact I'd saved without thinking. "M, look up." I stepped onto the balcony of Kelso. The sky was clear and smug. In the bell tower, the light in the map room glowed. For a second, I thought we'd been pulled back into the game. Then the light shifted and the window spelled out a pattern. It took me a beat to see it. "Hi." I laughed, alone and loud enough for the RA to yell quiet hours. I typed back. "If this is your idea of flirting, it's working. I like to keep things on brand." "So, we good?" "We're complicated. That's better than good. Meet tomorrow? 9:47? You love it. You working on it?" I went back inside and sat on my bed, the mattress no longer hiding a keycard, but a sweatshirt that smelled like her shampoo. On my desk, the drive labeled home sat next to my camera. I knew we hadn't ended anything. We'd started a story that would have counter-stories, and those would have footnotes. But for the first time since the sirens and the shove and the whisper, I felt something like ease. In the morning, the quad was a mess of chalk and conversations. I snapped photos with my press pass swinging and felt like the pass finally matched the person. Maya found me without looking. She slid into my space like she'd been saving the spot. "Hi," she said. "Hi," I said. She looked at my camera, then at me. "Ready to be annoying?" "Hi, Key," I said. "Good," she said and took my hand openly, not just in the dark. We walked past the bell tower, past a kid explaining to his girlfriend what a secret society is like he'd invented the concept, past a professor pretending his entire department's budget wasn't about to get audited. The story was going to keep moving, with or without us. But we were in it now, not as bystanders or ghosts, but as two people who'd chosen each other in the middle of the mess. We hit the coffee line and argued about whether oat milk is a conspiracy. She cut me with a grin and a no cap, and I countered with a low-key facts. And the guy behind us rolled his eyes like we were old already. When we reached the register, the barista slid our drinks over with a sticky note stuck between them. It said, "You two look like trouble. Keep going.